These are really, really cool items. The Grateful Dead crew referred to themselves as the Hard Truckers. And the Hard Truckers had their own style of building cabinets. And for the most part, they built all that stuff themselves by hand in their own shops. Like for instance, the Beatles always used the very best available equipment across the board, period. The Grateful Dead took it a step further. They used the best available equipment, but they also took it upon themselves to make modifications and improvements to those items, and then to take whatever they learned from that process and to even create their own stuff. So they built a lot of their own stuff from scratch. This is a 7 by 7 by 7 sealed cube with a full range driver. And the full range drivers were the same ones that they used in the Wall of Sound, in like the vocal cluster above the drums. And they also made like 4 speaker line arrays that were full range. None of this stuff had crossovers in them. This is a crossoverless, full range speaker with the drivers from the Wall of Sound. And so there were a lot of these that got made for the Grateful Dead, for the band, and for their crew and people that were close in their inner circle. This particular pair belonged to Ramrod Shurtleff, who we mentioned earlier, who was the crew chief and the corporate president of the Grateful Dead, and just a legendary guy. His son was my best friend, his son Rudson. And these were inherited by Rudson from Ramrod. The Grateful Dead were well known to use Courtney Pollock tie-dyes for speaker covers and amplifier covers. This particular set of tie-dyes were made in 1972 and were made for the 7-inch cube speakers. This particular set had sat in a drawer with Courtney up until just 10 years ago or so. They're from the same era. These particular dies were sort of new old stock that went into this pair to complete the set. And obviously these were added so that they could be hung when they were used in the house, and they used these flush mount banana jacks, which you'll see on all the Hard Trucker cabinets. All the Wall of Sound cabinets have the same jacks. They have these same multiply finished birch wood and these rounded corners and these special type of cabinet joints and so on and so forth. And everything was made this way. If you see pictures of the Grateful Dead in the studio, most of the time you'll see a pair of these sitting on top of the console. And because they don't have any crossovers, they're phase perfect, not just phase correct. So they image beautifully. Beyond that, they're just fantastic for playback purposes.